Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the place to be each and every Sunday night, where tonight everything old is new again. Familiar face, different layout here at Silverstone for round 11 of season 17 of Sunday Night Lights. And I'm your host, Alex McKellar, and joining me once again in the commentary booth is the chaotic one himself, Mr. Corey Steinhauser. Corey, plenty of action here ahead of us once again.
Indeed, there will be, Alex. A lot of people struggling with the new layout of Silverstone, and quite a few laps here to compete in the race. We're also, as I'm just looking quickly through the list, missing a couple of names that we usually see around these parts. Looks like one of the notable absences is the one of Sammy J. Toykala, Alex.
Yeah, just appearing in the chat saying he's skipping the race, and apologies to those who've come to watch Sammy J participate. He won't be here tonight. But and surprisingly, I've got to tell you, the strength of field a bit down. The warm-up race was in the 44s, and this one here's about 37.80. We've got a combination of a larger field and the track not really suiting some people, as it turns out. But tonight, folks, we do have an opportunity for some of the folks that don't always get to race here on a Sunday night to show out a couple of names that we often see in Kevin Henderson here, of course. Mitch McLeod, who's become a regular here. Of course, he streams on Talk Inc. on Twitch. Dennis Fiedler, there's a name we haven't seen in a long time. It looks like he might be the lone soldier for Team Ovaltine here tonight, Corey.
Yeah, it's actually surprising to not see Håkon Grabstad here. I guess he might be caught up with a little bit of work commitments. But we also have the return of a couple of names here. I can see Cristobal Alterio Roman sitting there in the 17 car, and Oz and Zed's own Mr. Russell Clark sitting there in the 16 car, representing Team Milo, Alex.
Yeah, though, it looks like he's hit the ejection seat, so I can't follow him around the track, unfortunately. But yeah, there are some familiar faces, some unfamiliar faces as well. Fran Novonaeus from Iberia. See him around in the Skippy community a lot, of course, but tonight, I think close to, if not his first appearance in Sunday Night Lights, Corey.
I believe you are right there, Alex. And if the warm-up race is anything to go by, he's definitely going to be one to watch. He had a little bit of action around him in the warm-up race. Not all of it was good action, but it was action nonetheless. So hopefully he can have a better race this time than what he managed last time. And we'll see what he can do here on this challenging Silverstone circuit here, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. Some familiar faces up the pointy end of the field, at least in terms of the seedings, of course. Mr. Tim Hendrickson, seated number 1, of course, Team Torpedo. Just behind him in number 2 is Simon Edwards from UKNI. Julian O'Fray, wearing the 3 plate here tonight, seated 3rd. And, of course, Sasha Gourlay rounding out our top 4 there of regulars. As the guys start to cross the line for their first of 2 time laps. Very long track here tonight, and surprisingly, this length of track normally sees about 10 laps, usual standards. But the guys here even having to dip into the fuel kitty, spend a bit extra on fuel this week sometimes. Guys running the usual 11.7 been running out, Corey. So guys have been going down to the 15 litres sometimes just to get across the line.
Yeah, and that's all down to people learning the track. Like early on in the week, people still learning this new layout of the track. Obviously, not using as much throttle, not burning through the fuel as much, and just being able to skate across with their normal 11 liters. But we're seeing people now that they've gotten to a little bit of a handle on the track and they know where to get on and get off the throttle, having to dip into the 15-liter mark, which I don't think we've seen here in Skippies for a long time, Alex.
No, we haven't. As I said, usually a 10-lap race this sort of distance. But first season, everyone's learning the track. And we've got 12 laps here tonight, which should see plenty of time for action. Very wide circuit here, plenty of room to move in these cars. And I expect a fair bit of action to take place. The high-speed sweeping corners here at turn 1 and the old turn 1. In fact, at Abbey at turn 1 here now, and it's Cops, of course, at turn 9 that the 2 of them there, the rear of the car really wants to let go, particularly early on. Once tyres grip up, it should be all right. But the guys here, well, as we see Ben Snell showing exactly what I mean through the old turn one there. And look, it really is a challenge here in the opening laps. Once the tyres get up, though, they'll be flying around.
Yeah, with the old turn one there, Alex, the cars actually get to that corner with so much more speed because the run to turn one after the hairpin is flat out the entire way. Even the old final turn is a flat out corner. So these cars are reaching some pretty big speeds there. And the old turn one is not very much radius of a corner, but as I try to English, but it's definitely going to be challenging, even in the later laps when the cars do start to grip up. That old turn one, with how fast the cars are reaching it, can still catch some people out, Alex.
Absolutely, the guys finishing up their final laps now in quali, and it's Adrian Farinas Rodriguez. There's a name we haven't seen before in Sunday Night Lights. He's grabbed the pole with a 24.5, remarkable time, some 5/10 ahead of Gourlay. Incredible to get around here, and perhaps one to watch out for in the future as the guys are all closing out their final laps, and the clock has struck. Let's quickly go through our grid for round 11 from Silverstone here tonight. Adrian Farinas Rodriguez from Iberia taking out a pole by some 5/10. Incredible. Sasha Gourlay from Simatoka Esport in P2. P3 went to Simon Edwards from UKNI. Tim Hendrickson, P4. Team Torpedo. P5 went to Lee Anderson from UKNI. Julian O'Fray joining us once again. The three-plated car, only managing P6 tonight. Lucas Gerrits, I'm going to go. Sorry, Lucas. He's in P7. P8 went to Anthony Catt from UK9. Norbert Rebelski back again tonight for another crack at the SNL title. Starting from P9 tonight. P10 went to Danny Pineda, a name we have called here before from Iberia, but not too frequently. P11 went to Ben Snell, representing Team Milo, of course, and P12, Fran Novo Oneas. As we jump over the page now, we see Cristobal Otero Roman climbing back into the ranks of top split, just sneaking in tonight, perhaps because of that lower strength of field for a cross Simart competition. P14 went to stalwart of the club, ANZ club that is, Kevin Henderson. Dennis Fiedler making a welcome return to SNL, perhaps surprising to him to be in the top split tonight, but Team Ovaltine happy nonetheless. P16, Juan Ramon Belo Garcia from Iberia. P17, Miguel Sanchez. That's right, not repeating myself, he's Sanchez. P18, Mitchell McLeod didn't set a time this week for Talk Inc. And Russell Clark for Team Milo similarly. Strength of field 37.80. Track temp, all important there, is 40 degrees as
the race
guys
starts.
Thank you, Sodi, telling me once again that the race is starting. Much appreciated. Everyone's set on the grid. Have we got a good camera angle here? Maybe in front on. There we go. Great stack of cars ready to go here tonight. 12 laps, as we said. Just waiting for the race to kick off. The flag marshal takes his stand. The revs start to rise because red lights mean rev. 19 car field gets underway with the green. Oh, there's one stalled on the grid. 12 car stalled on the grid. 17, Cristobal Otero gets around with the slightest touch of damage. But otherwise, they've all got away okay. Shocking start there for Lucas Gerrits, who we spoke about before. Bit of a tongue twister of a name, and didn't he struggle to get off the line there, Corey?
Yeah, and that was an absolutely amazing job from all the drivers behind him to be able to miss him with the short notice of him being stalled on the grid. I'm not sure whether he's got his car set to a manual start and he forgot to start it or what was going on there, but good job everyone else for managing to avoid him with a very small amount of time to react to it as we come thundering down this long straight, which is one of the DRS zones for Formula One, heading towards the old pit lane section, Alex.
Yeah, coming around the back now through Brooklands onto Luffield, I think it is. Oh, the rear of Hendrickson's car really getting loose there, but he's managed to hang on. Tell you what, it's going to take me a while to orient myself. I spent some time this week, Corey, on track here as they go past the old start-finish line now. Through 8 at Woodcote, now up to Cops. It's hard to get readjusted here. A lot of the mind games this week as you try and unlearn the muscle memory from the old Silverstone as this new track takes hold, Corey.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Alex. And I actually saw back in the pack a little bit there while you were looking at Kevin Henderson, the 9 car of Fran Nova and Nias having some troubles in that left-hander before the hairpin leading towards the pit straight. Just looped it all by himself and brought everyone to a little bit of a standstill there. But looks like we got at the front of the pack. Tim Hendrickson leading the way from the front, Alex. A very familiar position for young Timmy. And maybe he's going to be hoping for a better result this week than what he has been getting lately.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an 8-car breakaway now with Snell tucked in at the end, making the move up the inside of Rebelski there through the back section here now. We're coming into the closing stages of lap 1, and Snell not wanting to muck around now as they come into what is the final chicane here now through Vale and into Club now. As you say, flat chat through here as they cross the final, across the start-finish line there at the end of lap 1 here. We'll get the hang of it eventually, folks. We still do have a lead pack of 9 cars, as it turns out, all the way down to Rebelski now. But Hendrickson leading the way at the start of lap 2 now, Corey.
And one thing that Hendrickson's going to have to worry about here, Alex, is those 2 long straightaways, both the one that's coming up and then the one after Maggots and Beckett's. They're normally DRS straights for the Formula 1 cars, and they're great drafting opportunities and passing opportunities at the end of the straightaways. So he's definitely going to have to be mindful of the cars behind him as they tuck up into his draft and make sure he doesn't make any silly mistake that'll get him caught up with the rest of these guys, Alex.
That's right, Corey, as they head into Brooklands now at 6. The old closing section here, they're all nose to tail here. Hendrickson really showing a good pair of heels now in front of Rodriguez. He's not under threat from the draft at all, and the rest of them in this train potentially worried about letting him get away and not making the moves to break it up. Snell, the only one to have made a move in this lead pack for the first couple of laps, and he's only made the one. Meanwhile, back up front, you've got the leaders there, Hendrickson, Rodriguez and Gourlay, really line astern as they go through the old turn 1 now at Cops into this very tricky Maggots Beckett's Chapel complex. It's still as tricky as it was in the old days, but it's still a challenge here in this new one.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Alex, because it's a bit of an awkward zone to try and get in for braking. I've been playing the Formula 1 2019 game a lot lately, and even in that, the braking zones for those particular corners are not easy to get a hang of, and it's even worse with the skippies here with the time model being so slidey in these first couple of laps. But absolutely monumental job by all these drivers to be still going fast and managing to make their way through there without so much as a little bit of a slide, Alex.
So head through hanging now on the exit there. Very nasty little one exit. Oh, it was on the back there. I think it was Rebelski. Yeah, he's had a turn on his own. He must have picked up one of the dreaded slowdowns. There's a 3.5 second slowdown in a couple of places through Maggots and Beckett's, and particularly on Chapel as well, and that'll cost you because he's now dropped 3.5 seconds off that lead pack of what is now 8, as we see Frey sitting in 8th now, getting right up the tailpipe of Snell as they head through this first corner. Once it gets side by side, it's flat out in 4th there, and those guys running side by side, going where only angels fear to tread. But jumping back up the front, we've still got Hendrickson now leading the newcomer in Rodriguez, with Gourlay and Edwards tucked in behind, and Lee Anderson, of course, no stranger to Sunday Night Lights, sitting up in P5. These guys heading out the back now through Woodcott once again, and under the bridge once again, coming through now into Brooklands. Shaping up once again. Oh, very deep under brakes. Has he outbraked himself? Is Gourlay there showing the inside line there to Edwards, Corey? They're still trying so hard out there.
Yeah, and with this being such a fast and flowy track, those little mistakes like that, you might be able to get away with 1 or 2 here and there, but towards the end of the race, as we know all too well, Alex, these guys, when they make a little mistake, the rest are just going to pounce on them. So hopefully Sasha has gotten all the little mistakes out of his repertoire now as we head through the old turn 1 complex. And, just hopefully he can get his stuff sorted so he doesn't try and make that mistake again. because it's definitely going to be very harrowing for him if he does continually make that mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. As they head through Chapel now, I tell you what, it's or onto approach to Chapel now, I should say, as they complete the Maggots Beckers complex down the hanger straight now. And this time round, Rodriguez is much closer. And Gourlay, that little mistake, he'll have to work hard using what draft he can to bridge the gap. But it is Rodriguez right up the tailpipe, looking to the outside, and he's taking a slightly defensive line into Stowe now. But he's got it. Oh, he's going to run a little bit wide, is he? No, there's a really nasty 1X, as we mentioned last time round, as they now come in through Vale into this final chicane area and followed by the two sweeping, or tight right-handers, I should say. A lot of the guys taking them in second gear all the way through there, through the final corner there at Club as they round out lap 3, Corey.
Yeah, and those little bits of turtle curbs on the edges of that final little complex of corners is fairly hard to negotiate, as I've actually lost some metrics from my screen. But it looked like Timmy was using all the track that he possibly could, including those little bits of the berms there, as Tim Hendrickson finally comes back onto my screen, still in the lead. So yeah, that just goes to show that, you know, even though those curbs are there and they can be a little bit dangerous if you know what you're doing and can hit them just right, Alex, you might be able to get that little bit of extra pace just to keep ahead, or, you know, try and make that move.
That's it, as the guys come out of arena now, down this back straight. This first of a couple of straights now on the run into Brooklands now, breaking around the 50 marker, shifting down one gear, then a second into third gear now as they sweep through Luffield now onto Woodcott in a moment. It's really not a corner there at 8, but because you're flat out on these cars, and in fact in most cars, but they still count it. And it was a run into the start-finish straight in the old days, of course, but these days it's just the probably about the halfway mark through your lap now. It's about a 2.5 minute lap, or just under, in these cars as they sweep through this very challenging. Oh, look at the rear of the car, wanting to let go on Gourlay there. Man, he's hung onto it well and got good drive out. Now he's threatening Rodriguez now as they head into Maggots again, Corey.
And these guys are on the absolute limit right now, Alex, trying to get whatever advantage they can, because they know when they get to those last couple of laps, track position is going to mean the most out of everything. But these top 5 have just absolutely started to pull away from Anthony Cat in P6, Alex. And in fact, there's Alfrey there in P6. So these guys are making some big gains here. And it looks like you know, they're going to be trying to make this gap as big as possible before they start to fight it out, which we might not see until maybe about lap 9 or 10, Alex.
Yeah, exactly, Corey. So Frey, that's now sitting about 2.1 seconds behind that lead pack of 5 in 6th, followed by Cat and Snell in 7th and 8th, respectively. Some 5 seconds behind, in a little battle of his own with Rebelski, as we see Rebelski make the move up the inside of the final chicane there. Gets it done on Roman there as they sweep now through that final right-hander now to cross the start-finish line on the tail end of lap 4, start of lap 5 now, doing well. Jumping down a bit further is Pineda, followed some 4 seconds behind by Novo Aneas, with Garcia in a battle with Russell Clark somewhere in there. There he is, the Team Milo driver, sitting in 14th presently, with Dennis Fiedler, the Ovaltine driver, sitting on his return to Sunday Night Lights, car 15 in P15, ahead of Sanchez in 16th. Kevin Henderson trailing the pack now down in 17th, and our last runner on the lead lap is the 12 car of Lucas Gertz, with Mitchell McLeod failing to take the grid, Corey.
Yeah, that's very strange indeed, Alex. I know I did see him racing in the warm-up race to this, so I'm not sure whether he's got some kind of an issue or what's going on, because he was definitely in this session to begin with. But I guess something's happened and he's had to exit himself from this session. But either way, we still got these 5 drivers at the front, absolutely nose to tail, Alex. There's almost nothing between these guys as they're coming through the old Turn 1 complex. But it looks like Adrian might be wanting to try and make a move on Tim Hendrickson very shortly.
Absolutely. He's got a couple of these sections where he's got good pace as they go through Maggots and Beckett's once again. now the all-important run now through Chapel as you head down that long hanger straight. Really good passing opportunity, but I've got to tell you, Rodriguez doesn't look as though he's close enough, and he's got this long train of cars in behind him who really want to have a look. We see Edwards now move over to driver's right, perhaps showing the nose in defence as much as in attack. You see the little concertina effect as the different braking markers of the drivers come into effect, but they all even out over the lap here as the pace is really on here tonight. This front five working hard, Corey.
But this is a little bit weird for us, Alex, because these drivers are not doing what we have come to expect from these long, drafty tracks. Normally, we're seeing them battling 2 and 3, and sometimes even trying to get 4 wide. But these guys at the front, these 5 drivers, look like they're choosing to just stay in a line here and try and grow their advantage rather than battle it out at the moment.
So we see once again Hendrickson hop off into the void that is the internet when he has connection issues, but he's back again up in front, momentarily handing Rodriguez the faux lead, as it were. But yeah, you're right, mate. I'm wondering if it's a combination of Hendrickson has got good pace around here, plus the draft not being what it used to be, the aero package in the skips these days, meaning it's not quite what it used to be, although this time down Hanger Straight really looked like a legit look from Rodriguez there, but he lets it go now as they, as they come through this winding section now. Oh, it wasn't Hanger Straight, was it? No, I beg your pardon. It was into Brooklands and Luffield now as they head up to go past the old start finish line once again, Corey. We're about 6.5 in, or 5.5 in, 6.5 to go, and it's nose to tail all round in the top 5.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where I would put my money at this point, Alex. These guys are all seeming like they're fairly evenly matched, and you know, it's going to be hard to tell in these next 6 laps who's going to get the advantage and run away with it. Because Tim Hendrickson, even though he's at the front, he's probably going to be in the most danger, especially towards the end of those 2 long straightaways, maybe even possibly just the Hanger Straight, because you don't want to make your move too early and be compromised for the second big drafting zone, or sorry, the final big drafting zone. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one to call when we come down to it. But it looks like these guys in 3rd and 4th, Sasha Goulet and Simon Edwards, definitely starting to look like they're getting a little bit more racy at the moment, Alex.
Yeah, Goulet really looks like he's got some pace. He's been very close, as close as 1.5 tenths on the tail of Rodriguez there. Really looking quite racy, and similarly Edwards behind him, who hasn't had the best. In fact, I was going to say, if he's had any luck in SNL this season, it's been bad, and he's hanging on there in P4, and he's doing a great job here tonight, looking for a good result. As once again we see Rodriguez pull out of the draft, really content by the looks of it as they smash that apex there again, flat out in 4th by the time you hit that apex there at turn 1, as they come through the arena now on the starting stages of lap 7 this time round. Back down into 1st gear now, the final corner of the arena at turn 5, and out onto this first of these couple of very long straights here on the run down into Brooklands now, Corey. Again, prime opportunity there, but we see once again Rodriguez moving far out to driver's left, really not attacking at all there, really putting Hendrickson under no threat whatsoever, although he's right up behind. If he wanted to, he could have gone by 3 or 4 times, but I don't know if they're just trying to hold off or make sure that the guys in 6th and 7th and 8th, which is O'Fray, Cat and Snell, don't bridge that gap, although at 2.3 seconds, they've probably got a bit to worry about if they do get their act together, you know?
Well, I think at the moment he is just trying to hold off, maybe wait for the last couple of laps, as I was alluding to before. But another thing that I noticed was Sasha Goulet, through those opening section of corners, was looking very untidy there. Ran a little bit wide on the exit of the first corner, and then proceeding to run wide in the next couple of corners after that. So I'm not sure whether he's starting to lose a little bit of the handle on the car, or whether he just made another little mistake. But it looked like he was under quite a bit of pressure there from Simon towards the time they got onto the straightaway. But yeah, at the moment, Alex, it just looks like Adrian definitely not interested in trying to make the move work. As a 10-plated car, he's probably definitely wanting to bide his time because if you can get a move on the one car on the last lap when you're the 10-plated car, Alex, it's going to mean some big things for you in the I rating and even in the points areas.
Yeah, well, even in P2 there tonight, he gets 209 championship points and about 90 I rating. Triple figures is my money if he takes it out. So it'll be a great night at the office for Rodriguez there. But he's still got to negotiate to come through the final corner now, crossing the line at the tail end of lap 7. They're starting lap 8 now. He's still got to negotiate 5 laps. Those extra couple of laps here really test your average Skippy driver's patience and concentration. I can speak firsthand of that experience here this week. You just think to yourself, when will this be over? The normal Skippy race would have finished a couple of laps ago, but these guys working hard for their money here tonight in this front 5, and plenty more to come with 5 laps or the balance thereof remaining, Corey.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is the mental fatigue that you face, Alex. Unless you're running some fairly high force feedback in your wheel, the mental fatigue of doing 12 laps around this fairly long circuit, especially being on the edge of grip, like I imagine these top 5 cars are every single corner of every single lap, it's definitely going to take its toll on you. So you need to be fairly mentally tough to not only withstand just the distance of the race, but the demands that the race will ask of you.
Yeah, absolutely. As we jump back in the pack now, we revisit that battle between Roman and Rebelski. Rebelski, of course, up in that lead pack, but picked up one of the dreaded slowdowns around here by the looks of it. About 3.5 seconds in a couple of places, as we mentioned, and that's jettisoned him off the front pack all the way down to P9 in this tight battle now with Roman as they head through the old turn 1 corner into the Maggots and Beckett's complex now once again on the mid stages of lap 8. Just trying to pick any other battles. We've got Aeneas and Garcia down in 12th and 13th battling it out, and Henderson and Fiedler having a bit of a party with Miguel Sanchez down there in 15th through 17th. The other battle there. We had a bit of a change of position up in P6 now as Cat goes past O'Fray with Snell. All the rear of Snell's car there wanting to depart from the race, but they've hung on to it on the end of the hangar straight as they come down the closing sections of lap 8 now, jumping back up the front as they cross the line. Stations are still as they were previously, Corey. This front 5 waiting for the last couple to get it done.
You say that, Alex, but along the hangar straight while you were going through the field, I kept my eyes on these guys, and they were just about 2 by 2, and it was crazy. They managed to get themselves back down to single file racing for those next section of corners. But as you can see, the concertina effect there as they're going through these rather slow corners, almost catching the 2 guys, Simon Edwards and Lee Anderson, at the back out. But these guys are starting to turn up the heat a little bit, Alex, and they're going to be starting to try and make some moves soon. And it's going to be interesting to see what will befall these 5 guys when they start getting towards those final couple of corners, Alex.
Yeah, it was a big check up through the arena. Gourlay once again running wide there on the edge, the end at Brooklands there, I should say, as they come through Luffield once again. And again, it's broken up any opportunity he had to overtake there. I'm not sure if he's just leaving his braking a bit late or he's overshooting or what it is there. That's the second time we've seen Gourlay struggle through Brooklands there. It hasn't cost him too much as they line astern once again as they go through the old turn 1 at Cops on the run up to Maggots and Beckett's once again. It's interesting, Corey. I'll be fascinated to see if they can manage to go 2 and 3 abreast down there and end up in the same order once again as you described as they exit that complex now through, just about to come through Chapel now. Very important corner as it leads on to the longest straight in Hangar Straight into that overtaking opportunity at Stowe, Corey.
It looks like they're playing nicely this lap, Alex. They obviously knew that you weren't looking at them, so they decided to go a little bit crazy. But these guys still holding station at the moment. And it looked like Tim Hendrickson actually made a little bit of a mistake there, Alex. It looked like his rear end just got a little bit sideways coming through that corner.
Yeah, he's rallied it up, rounded it up as they come through that final chicane there at Vale. Now through Club now to close it out. The lap 9 this time round. 3 laps to go as they cross the line this time round. This is where we expect things to heat up. Anyone in this front 5 could win it from here, you would think, although Lee Anderson's dropping back a little bit to make a liar of me. Let's see what these guys can do now as they run down excuse me, through the arena now once again on the start of lap 10. 3 laps to go, mate. They haven't shown us much, but do you have your money on anyone at this stage?
Oh, you're putting the pressure on, Alex. I would actually have to put my money onto Adrian Phineas Rodriguez there. I think that he's playing the game of waiting till the very last moment to make his move, and I reckon that he does have the pace to get it done. It's whether or not Tim Hendrickson will be able to survive the overtake that will ensue. Apart from that, if my other theory is Tim Hendrickson and Adrian are going to get themselves tangled up, and I put the rest of my money on Sasha Gourlay to maybe take it from behind with the mistake from the 2 leaders. So who's you got your money on, Alex?
Well, Hendrickson, as we see Rodriguez go up the inside now, pushing Hendrickson wide there through Cops this time round. That's really set it the cat amongst the pigeons this time round as we see Rodriguez wanting to make his move side by side. They go through Magnussen Beckett this time round. What's going to come of this one? No contact as yet. They've done it very well. Rodriguez now has into line, but Hendrickson will have the run out of Chapel now down the hill, and Gourlay looking to take advantage down the hanger straight this time round. Oh, and Rodriguez cuts him off though, says no run for you, sir, as they come down now 3 wide. Rodriguez has the inside run now into Stowe and gets it done. Oh, Hendrickson wanted to come back again. There's contact. He's almost turned. Great control there from Rodriguez as Hendrickson resumes station at the lead, and we see now Gourlay coming up the inside excuse me, into the final series of corners now, but Rodriguez holds on to it. The little touch and go there from Hendrickson. No damage by the looks of it for Rodriguez as we've got 2 laps to go now as they cross the line that time round, Corey. Things really starting to heat up.
Yeah, and that has brought Lee Anderson back into this battle now, and has also brought Anthony Cat, Julian Alfrey, and Ben Snell a little bit closer to these leading cars. You can see it visibly on the screen that they're a little bit closer now. But wow, that was some close, intense racing. A little bit of contact on the hanger straight between Hendrickson and Adrian there. And wow, I almost called it a little bit too early there, Alex. It looked like the leaders got together a couple of times and they both just about came a cropper there. But they managed to get out of it at the moment. Hopefully soon we'll see them start to battle a little bit more as we are working the penultimate lap at the moment. And these guys are definitely starting to turn up the heat to full, Alex.
Absolutely, as they start their run through Luffield this time round. 2 laps to go, as you say. About 1.5 as they cross the old start finish line. This time through Luffield they go onto Woodcott now. Now, this is where Rodriguez had the big look last lap, but this time he's under pressure from Gourlay, who's all over his tailpipe. Hendrickson looking a little bit safer this time round. Gourlay, discretion, the better part of Valor this time through, but will he have a go out the back of the hanger straight into Stowe this time round? He's right on the tailpipe once again as they go through Maggots and Beckett's. Very important run through, very challenging set of corners. You're in 5th, then you're in 4th, into 3rd by the time you hit Beckett's. Trying to get the drive. You're flat, as we see Hendrickson run really wide there. Got on the gas nice and early there as he came now through the hanger straight. He looks safe this time around, Corey, but then there's only 1 lap to go this time around.
Oh, and it looks like Adrian's going to try and make this move
Oh,
around
big
the outside. There's
contact.
big contact this time. And that was Hendrickson cutting off the line in front of Adrian, and it looks like it's all gone wrong for him. Sasha Gourlay now trying to make a move around the outside of Adrian. Doesn't look like he's going to quite get it done here, as we see a very irate Tim Hendrickson going through the grass, missing the pit lane, and coming back out onto the track there towards the club corner. It looks like he might have just towed to the pits, but wow, that was absolutely crazy. Adrian in the lead right now, but how long will he be able to hold on to that for, given that contact, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely crazy scenes here. Side by side they went. I don't know if there was a bit of net code in there, but they were wheel to wheel throughout. As we see now, Rodriguez, Gourlay and Edwards are the final three looking for the podium there, although Lee Anderson is tucked in behind, and Anthony Catt on the front of O'Fray and Snell. They're right back into it, some 1.4 seconds behind. I don't know that they'll have time to get it done, to get on their crack at the podium. But this time as they exit arena down this first straight on the run into Brooklands, no one really having a look at that. Edwards pokes showing the nose to Gourlay there on the entrance to Brooklands, but not in with earnest or intent. It did not seem, as they drop down in third gear, down into second now as they go through Luffield for the last time round. The old days, you'd be cheering the flag on at this point, but not anymore in this new layout, as Gourlay tucked in behind Rodriguez and Edwards, all three of them, and four if you include Anderson, seeing what they can do on this final lap, Corey.
Now, Adrian has to be a little bit careful there. He took a whole lot of curb. He was almost on the complete inside of that old final corner. He's very lucky he didn't get a slowdown there, but I reckon it's going to be all on here and the hanger straight as they're starting to make their way through Maggots and Beckett's heading towards Chapel. These guys are going to be absolutely intense here on this final chance to get a move done before they reach the final section of the lap. Gourlay just a little bit back now, 0.3 of a second back, but he's going to hope that he gets enough draft off of Adrian to try and get the move. Alex, it's anyone's game for even still now. Who you got your money on as we come into the final section?
Oh, hard to say, but Rodriguez taking the defensive line now as we've got Gourlay around the outside. He's got a long way to go, but that will give him the inside run into Vale, which might be exactly what you need. See, Edwards right behind. He's got all the pace, but nowhere to go. Will he look up the inside? Oh, he's gone deep in between them. There's contact there, and Rodriguez has hung on to that. Everyone's hit him tonight, Rodriguez, but he still managed to hang on, but it's Gourlay. Gourlay getting the job done with Rodriguez sitting in behind him, and Anderson hanging on for third with Edwards, Catt in fourth and fifth respectively, Snell in sixth. Let's go and have a quick look at that final series of corners there, see what we can make of it. So it was Gourlay on the inside run. He'd gone deliberately around the outside at Brooklyn, at the Vale there, coming down into the final series called the big lunge from Edwards there. That didn't look like there was room, and he just couldn't pull it up. Hit Rodriguez. I don't know how that car's still standing, but he got it going again, and it was Anderson right on his tail, but keeping him honest. But he's kept him out as Gourlay's gone through almost unscathed here tonight. No contact, no nothing to take out another win of Sunday Night Lights, Corey. That was a fantastic drive from Gourlay. And I can't believe how much contact Rodriguez had, and yet still, I can't even see any bent fenders or anything on his car, mate.
Yeah, I'm just getting a little bit of interference from the radio. I forgot to mute it there, and by the sounds of it, it might have been a little bit of net code on the back of the hanger straight there that ended up getting the best of Tim Hendrickson, which is very unfortunate. That would explain why he was so wild and out of control when he was trying to make his way to the pits. But incredible racing in those last couple of laps. We called it very early. They were saving all their stuff for the last couple to try and get whatever advantage they could there. And they definitely put on a good show, but a rather controlled race right from the get-go, Alex. And I'm glad to see that they definitely spiced it up there at the end.
Yeah, just trying to get what happened there with Hendrickson. You're right, at the end of the hanger straight. looks to be drifting out, if anything. And yeah, big net code there. It looked to be a little bit of gap still, but that was all she wrote for the rear suspension of Hendrickson. And then as he's drifting further, I don't know if he's got full control there, but look at Rodriguez there, just easing off the brakes once Hendrickson had gone by. A little bit further. Again, Rodriguez, how did he get away with that with no damage and still managed to hang on to second place? Everyone's sort of ducking and diving to get out of the stricken Hendrickson's path of a line of fire, so to speak, but the front four managing to get it done successfully. And then Hendrickson weaving like he'd been out for a big night of the town all over the track, makes a dive for pit lane. But I've had this experience myself here this week. Once the brakes come on and the suspension's in that sort of disarray, watch, he'll brake here for the slowdown pit zone, and the thing just turns away. Either that or he's just given up in frustration and just headed for the kitty litter. But that's a shame for Hendrickson there. Led it from the beginning, but just unable to bring it home there tonight, Corey. But let's take a look at our final results here tonight. From round 11 here, it's the new Silverstone circuit for Sunday Night Lights. Sasha Gourlay for Simatok Esport did a fantastic job. Very patient, sat in third pretty much from the beginning there, and finished on top of the pop, so to speak. Adrian Farinas Rodriguez, first time we've said his name in Sunday Night Lights. He had a fantastic race and finished in second in his maiden outing, I should say. P3 went to Lee Anderson from UK&I, who did a fantastic job as well. Simon Edwards in P4. He's had some pretty rough luck here in this season, but I tell you what, that dive at the end there was outstanding. Again, Rodriguez driving away from it. But Edwards, patient race, really had to lay his cards on the table there at the end. P5 went to UK&I's Anthony Catt, leading that secondary pack with Ben Snell moving up to sixth for Team Milo, and Julian O'Fray, of course, in seventh. Norbert Rebelski, after that early slowdown down in P8, won his battle with Cristobal Otero Roman from across Simart Competition. Danny Pineda, a name we have seen before, finishing in P10th. P11th, Juan Ramon Bello Garcia from Iberia. P12, Fran Novo Aeneas, also from Iberia. Moving on to the second page, ANZ's own Kevin Henderson in P13, Russell Clark for Team Milo. Great return, or great to see Russell back in the top split. Perhaps not the result he was chasing there, though. Car 16 in P14, not too bad a result for him, representing Team Milo. Miguel Sanchez from Iberia in P15. 16th went to the returning Team Ovaltine member, Dennis Fiedler. Lucas Gerritz in P17. Tim Hendrickson with that exit there. One lap down for Team Torpedo in P18. Mitchell McLeod failed to take the grid for Torque Inc. Strength of field, as we said, 37.80. Simon Edwards with a 24.4. Draft assisted, no doubt, but that was our fastest lap tonight, Corey.
Yeah, it was a great race indeed, Alex. Lots of action in those last couple of laps. I still can't believe Adrian's car withstood all of those impacts, and he still managed to chug away and get a second place there. Absolutely incredible to see the grit of a new face into Sunday Night Lights, and managing to hold off with a second place there. But I think it might be a little bit of time for interviews, and it looks like we've only got Ben sitting there waiting for us again.
Yeah, let's see what we can do there with young Mr. Snell. Ben, welcome to the Top Split TV commentary booth, mate. Lonely race, or they had a couple of friends there to race with, mate. Finishing P6 tonight, up 5 positions. That's not a bad effort, mate.
Hi guys, I was more lonely at the green room to be honest. I was all by myself.
That's it, mate. Had a big weekend at the track, I understand, this weekend, so we do appreciate you turning up tonight, mate. How did the racing come to you out there at Silverstone?
I really can't. I can't complain with the result, especially not having a warm up race. I got home about half an hour before the session popped up, so I got a couple of warm up laps, but I don't usually find any pace until I've had a full race under my belt. So the qualifying was average, hence why I was down. I think like 11th or 12th or something at the start of the race. Almost crashed into someone that didn't start, which was really exciting, and then picked off a couple of spots and managed to get Julian in the last section when he made a misjudged dive on Anthony. So really can't complain with the result.
Nah, mate, it was up 5 spots, and a Sunday Night Lights race is nothing to complain about, as you say. There was action in the last few laps. Actually, it was pretty sedate throughout, and then the last couple of laps, the race came alive. But look, it's been a challenging circuit here this week, mate. How have you found it?
I really don't like slowdowns anymore. Like I never liked them to start with, but I've found a newfound hatred of them, especially through is it Baggett's and Beckett's, where you can pick up about 3.5 seconds worth of slowdown, which it takes about 7 seconds to clear, for gaining less than half a tenth through the apex. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, mate. I think after this season, look, I hope they adjust it. I know it's a new track, and I've got to say, as far as the most recently released tracks goes, in terms of optimization, I think it performs pretty well. But those slowdowns need a bit of a tweak because they'll end your night real quickly, won't they?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I didn't have the pace to fight with Anthony and Julian, so I was happy just to trundle along behind them, let them do it, and just make sure I didn't get any unnecessary penalties added to my race.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it, mate. All right. Well, thanks once again for joining us, mate. I know it's been a big weekend, so it is much appreciated. Leading ANZ driver in the series, of course, and the race tonight. So congratulations for that. Representing Team Milo, of course, Mr. Ben Snell. Ben, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
As always, shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's really appreciated by me, myself, and of course all the community that gets to jump in, have a race. Big shout out to some of the boys that got to have a run in the top split tonight. It's good to see, even though the strength of field was down, it's good to see some returning faces such as Russell and Dennis. And of course, speaking of Russell, sorry, go Team Milo.
Go Team Milo, indeed. All right. Thanks, Ben, mate. We'll see you hopefully again next week, and let's see if we can't get you up on the podium, mate.
Oh, that would be nice. Have a good night, guys.
There you go, Corey. That was Mr. Ben Snell, Team Milo's own, doing it once again for the local boys. Couldn't quite manage top 5 tonight, did get as high as 6th, but he'll be back bigger and stronger next week, of course.
Yeah, well, that's it, Alex. And next week being the final week is Ben's best opportunity to shine. But as you said, for a guy that needs an entire race to warm up, he's done well to get himself a P6 after starting 11th. So good on you, Ben. Well done, man. And go Team Milo. But yeah, absolutely incredible to see Ben getting up there and still managing to stay there or thereabouts with such little practice around here, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's been a tough track this week to get a handle on. These guys, some of the best in the business, have shown us how it's done tonight. Well, that, folks, will about do us on your screen at the moment. Hang on, let me just cut back to live pictures so that I can do that without interruption. Corey, what do you got on this week? Tell the folks at home where they can find you.
You guys can find me streaming my Friday night race club stuff at twitch.tv/Corey has no life 13. We will put up a mature content warning. I do say some funny things there that a lot of people would find offensive. You can also find me at the Aussie_sim_commentator channel Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning Western Australian time for Output Racing League from the Kansas Speedway, Alex.
Beautiful. Go check those places out, of course, for the top split. Everything on your screen. This race will be on our YouTube channel. Join us in the Discord where we do the broadcast and the interviews from. Our podcast is at thetopsplit.com. And, of course, right here you'll see my adventures and misadventures at Suzuka next week for the final round of the season. and be, of course, back here at the Top Split TV Twitch channel. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. But until then, folks, I've been your host, Alex McKellar, and on behalf of the chaotic one, Mr. Corey Steinhauser, we will see you next week, and ciao for now.